Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Mexico. This is in the Spanish and English language with English subtitles, released in the year 2017, directed by Emilio Portes, and this film is called Belzebuth. So Belzebuth starts off with a massacre inside a maternity ward in a hospital. You have these infants that have been stabbed to death with a scalpel by a nurse. So she turns the scalpel on herself after this horrible deed, and no one knows why she actually did this. And so the main character is a police officer in the Mexican police force, and one of the infants happened to be his son. So he's devastated by this, as you would be. And fast forward 4 years later, we realise he's still in the police force, but he still bears all the scars of that horrible event. But then another massacre occurs, this time in a school. And a lot of things within this massacre remind him of the event 4 years previous. But then another massacre occurs involving children once again, and this is where the Vatican become involved, because there are horrible secrets behind these events that the Vatican believes are linked to the devil. So as the investigation progresses, this is where the main character's life is going to take a terrifying spiral into a world he will never forget. So what that world is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Belzebuth. I can tell what you're thinking right now. This is another possession film, and a possession film, you know exactly how it's going to go. It's a very worn out generic subgenre, and you've seen one, you've seen them all. But that's exactly the expectation I had coming into Belzebuth. I thought this is going to be another possession film. I know exactly how this is going to turn out, which is the reason why I actually enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. I actually thought this movie had a creative idea within a very tight subgenre. Yes, it is about the devil. Yes, there are possession moments that you have seen before, and there are generic elements to this movie, but I thought as though the overall idea involving children was very disturbing, and it actually warranted the R18 that it had here in Australia as far as horror themes are concerned. As far as violence is concerned, this is not overly violent. There are some fairly brutal moments, but the overall idea was very hard to watch, and so I actually thought as though I found myself flinching in a lot of areas, and I thought, alright, well, this is everything that horror should be. And unfortunately, as far as possession subgenre films are concerned, it loses that aspect of horror because it's just recycling garbage that you've seen before. But this movie, yes, it does have that generic moment here and there, but it has that creativity and actually gives you a very strong, absorbing horror atmosphere. The atmosphere in this movie was incredibly uncomfortable. That is down to the cinematography that I thought was very dark. I thought the soundtrack actually matched the mood that the overall cinematography created, and it was a very unnerving experience. I thought as though at any point, things could escalate in a really, really bad way, and so you always have that anticipation around every corner that something horrible might be happening. And so there's a lot of scenes in this movie that are quite violent, but the most horrific scenes are the scenes that it forces you to use your imagination. So it had a solid blueprint coming into this film, and I thought as though Emilio Portes actually executed it fairly well. I thought the acting was decent. I really liked the fact that it was spoken in the Spanish language with the Mexican characters and in the English language when the Vatican become involved, and so it showed a lot of respect and it showed a lot of confidence in that the viewer can actually read subtitles, and so it gives you that strong sense of a realistic sort of world that the movie is set in. And I thought as though some of the set pieces were really well done. As I said, the cinematography and the soundtrack combined intensify that really strong sense of terror and that genuine feeling that you have to turn the light on after you finish watching it, and that's definitely a forgotten art. And I definitely think Belzebuth achieves just creeping the audience out through the visuals, and I definitely think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. Tobin Bell plays a cameo. Now, Tobin Bell from Saw played Jigsaw. He's definitely that Jigsaw sort of character where he talks in that really raspy voice. I definitely think he's a one-trick pony as far as acting is concerned. He plays a character that I thought was actually quite creepy again, so he does an okay job in this film. But every time I see Tobin Bell, I always think of Jigsaw, so he's definitely a typecast sort of actor, but he does a fairly decent job in providing a character that has all the answers. There's a little bit of exposition in this film that was required because the overall story is actually quite complex, and I thought the story actually had me interested from start to finish. It never outstays its welcome. And so if I'm being honest, I expected to hate Belzebuth, but I actually come away from this movie liking it quite a bit. As far as possession movies are concerned, it's not my favourite subgenre, but expecting something that I've seen many, many times before, it actually shapes it up in a way that I actually thought was fairly entertaining, and it's definitely worth the watch. I thought as though it was kind of exhausting itself towards the end, but pushing that aside, it never outstays its welcome. So if you are a fan of possession movies, Belzebuth is one I would recommend. It's not brilliant, but it's definitely something a little bit different. So overall, I'm going to give this film 3 stars. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.